Today, I will be editing your photos. You sent me some of your raw images and I am going to edit them just how I would edit my own wedding images. So it has been a while. It's almost been like a month since I have uploaded a video. The wedding season always kind of like peaks at one time of the year when we are still shooting weddings and editing weddings are just like piling up more and more. So unfortunately, I had to pause on making some YouTube videos, but I am back. I just shot my last wedding of the season. I have a few during the winter, but we're going full into winter mode, and that also means lots more YouTube videos. So I went through and chose a few photos from all of the photographers that sent in images, and I pulled 14 to edit. So I'm just gonna edit them, chat through some things as we go through them. What I'm using today is the Cleveland Light and Airy preset. This is the preset that I use on all my shoots, all my weddings, all my portrait work, everything. And it's a preset that I have developed for years. And the basis of it is all of the film work that I shoot as well. And so over the years, as I've shot more and more film with medium format Portra 400, I have tweaked the colors to get to exact to my liking and also to reflect a film look. So this is not just like purchased from someone. This is something that I've developed for years and years. It is my secret sauce to my photos for sure. And so I'm going to use that to be doing the editing today. You can, if you're interested in purchasing it, you can find it on my website. I'm going to be using the Light and Airy color preset, and then also my black and white, which I call Cleveland 3200. It's based on Ilford 3200, if you didn't get that little joke. Okay, let's go to the first one. Our first photographer here is Johan. I believe I'm pronouncing your name correctly, but thanks for sending your photos in. We have 2 photos from him. Let's do it. I believe this is shot on a Sony. It's shot on a 35mm lens. Really nice. I'm going to be editing this, but I'm also going to give some maybe suggestions and thoughts as I look at the photos that you sent in. But let's first start the preset. Okay, so here's my preset I put on. Very nice. It's a little orange, it's a little warm. So I'm going to bring down the color temperature here to get their skin tones correct. Sometimes what I like to do is actually put it on like a smaller size so I can actually like see the whole image as a whole. Sometimes when it's too zoomed in, I feel like it's hard to see the whole image as it should be. And what I'm seeing is maybe I want a little bit more magenta in that photo. And then actually I'd prefer it a little bit brighter, and maybe I'm losing some of the details in the dress, so I'm actually going to bring my highlights down a little bit more too. I feel like it's a little maybe contrasty for my liking, so I'm actually going to use like the shadow boost here. I use a shadow boost, and that's going to kind of overexpose it, and then I'm actually going to just bring the exposure back a little bit. And I feel like that kind of evens some things out for me, especially because the trees behind them were kind of dark. And so I feel like now the scene is a little bit more even. Something that I noticed as I'm looking at this image is I wonder if their eyes are too closed, right? I wonder if the next frame that you shot, if you shot another frame after this, would be a little better. I know this is not like critique your photos. It's supposed to be just like editing photos, but I can't help it. But I like that they're kind of like mid, but part of me wonders, does it also look like just their eyes are closed? But I really like this. I like this shot. It feels natural. So another photo from Johan here. Let's do the same round. Let's do the Light and Airy preset. We also have we got a lot of darkness in here, so let's do the shadow boost as well. Ooh, look at that. You can actually like see the sky now. I'm actually going to do blue tilt. That adjusts the color of blue. That's more in line with Portra 400. And also, let's try something new. Let's choose some film grit. Ooh, okay, there we go. And I'm just going to brighten this up a little bit more. And because the light is so direct, I'm actually going to bring the contrast down so it's not so harsh. And that's pretty good. Let's see see a smaller version. Is it kind of warm still? It's kind of warm. Now, if you edit weddings or if you've done a lot of editing yourself, you will know that you never get edits perfect the first time. Like if you're only editing something once and then sending it off, you're probably making a lot of mistakes. So your eyes get kind of used to seeing things and they play tricks on you. Like I'm looking at this and I'm like, yeah, I think her skin tone is correct. However, I could be editing this video in like, tomorrow and then be like, wow, Luke, what have you done? Look at her skin tone is so orange. So I always suggest to at least wait a day, like do some editing, wait a day and come back to it the next day. And that will untrick your eyes. Another thing, and I've suggested this on other videos, and that's to have some sample images. So if you have some images in the past that you've edited and you know that you love that certain skin tone, you love how that looks, put it right beside you on your computer, put it open, Lightroom and have that open beside it. So you have some correlation of like, oh, I like this much magenta or I like this much green in my photos for the tint. And as well as the color temperature as well. Okay, next. Ooh, okay. I was looking forward to editing this shot because I think this is one really great example of where this preset takes a photo like this, a very kind of almost dark and moody kind of shot, and just like revolutionizes it, okay? So, okay, we get that, and right off the bat, we realize it's a little warm, so let's bring the warmth down, and then we just put up the exposure, okay? So I'm just gonna like way bring up this exposure. I'm gonna bring the highlights down too. I think also we could almost do a shadow boost here. Do a shadow boost, and then I'm gonna reverse. So I'm gonna bring the exposure back down. Look at the before and after. That's really nice. So the thing I love about my preset, and this is a lot of work that I've done in the curves and the different color channels within the curves, is that as you bring up the exposure, that's where kind of the color magic of this preset comes alive. And that's why when I like brought up the exposure of this image, it kind of came alive and it's so beautiful. Okay, I love that. Okay, here's a great example of another indoor shot. This is a very classic kind of ceremony. Let's put this thing on. Okay, beautiful. I'm noticing it's a little green. Could be kind of what the interior is like. Okay, and then now I'm just gonna bring up this exposure. That's pretty nice. Actually, I wanna put on the, not the intense green, my film grit here. Okay, so the film grit leans a little magenta-y. So I'm actually gonna, I changed the magenta at the beginning of this image. Actually, let's reset. Boom, let's reset. Let's go back to light and airy. See how, notice it's a little bit green? Well, I'm gonna do film grit and that moves it into the magenta. And then I'm gonna bring this up. Ooh, that's pretty nice. There you go. You can bring down the contrast a little bit. Yeah, that's what I would do. Oh, I forgot to say, whose photos are we shooting here? Okay, these are still Johan's photos. Sorry, I did not mention that earlier, but this looks like these are still Johan's and it's on Sony. Let's do this last one. I thought this was a really, really pretty shot. Maybe I'll just like crop that in a little bit. But I feel like, ooh, it's gonna look really good with this preset. Okay, so let's do the light and airy. Same thing, I might do film grit again and then just bring up the exposure. Ooh. Okay, one thing I would do, I think I made a whole video about this, and that was, well, I made a video about, masking brushes. And if you've never used this before, like, oh my goodness, it's the total best. Why I want to use it is I'm realizing that the bottom section of this photo is pretty bright already, and I'm starting to lose, part of the detail of the car, and inside the car is pretty dark. And so I want to even that out a little bit. Now I can use the shadow boost, which does help me inside the car, which I like, but it's still, the exposure outside the car is a little too high for me. So what I'm gonna do is I hit M, but that takes me over to the mask, and I'm going to use the linear gradient tool. And so what this does is that it creates a gradient, and then you can apply settings to it. And so I'm gonna bring this down, and you can tell as I brought the exposure down, it revealed that it was pretty cool, the color temperature. So I'm actually gonna add a little bit of warmth to that so that it matches. Now I'm able to bring up the whole exposure of the image a little bit. There we go. It's very nice. Great shot. Okay, we're super zoomed in here. Okay, this is another photographer. His name's Tom. Tom, thanks for sending your photos. I thought this was a good example. Actually, he sent me two photos, this one and this one. And this was a good example of if you have lots of greens and stuff like that. Okay, so this is also a Sony. Man, look at all you Sony shooters. So another Sony camera with lots of greens. Let's see what it does. Okay, so let's do the light and airy. Boom. What else? Let's add the blue tilt. Do we have any blues? Not really. Okay, let's add intense green to really boost that green. And then we'll leave that off. Okay, so one thing that I noticed right away is, and this is something that I noticed with Sony's generally, is that I think Sony shooters tend to shoot a little brighter than Nikon shooters, or at least I do. I tend to shoot a little dark, and at least these two guys who are Sony shooters were a little on the brighter side, I think, because maybe is Sony better with their highlights? I don't know. So I'm just gonna bring my exposure down a little bit, and I'm gonna bring my shadows up a little bit, and I'm going to crop this in a little bit and make a little less headroom. All right, there we go. It's pretty nice. It's a little warm, I think. So I'm just gonna bring it back down a little bit. And beautiful before. Actually, I'll go through at the end and show all the before and afters. Another shot, I thought this was good because there's so much green. And I think what I love about this preset is what it does with the greens, especially if you want to do some intense green. I'm gonna bring the exposure down. And actually, I'm gonna do shadow boost here too, because it just makes everything really vibrant. I'm gonna bring this in a little bit. Boom. Oof, this is very nice. Okay, this is Wayne and Ing. It seems like they work on their wedding business together. This is a great shot of a groom getting ready, and it looks like they shoot with Canon cameras. So let's see how it performs. Okay, let's do the light and airy. Okay, looking good. Okay, so he has a nice black tux here, but when I applied my preset, the tux is looking a little green as instead of black, okay? And that's where I do a blue tilt. And what that does is it just changes the color of suits from kind of green looking to actually black looking. What I'm noticing here too, though, is that there is still a lot of green in the image. So I'm just gonna move my magenta up a little bit, and that's gonna add. Okay. As I'm looking at this photo, while the color looks good, I actually think that this photo would really benefit from being in black and white, just because there's a lot of kind of clutter back here. And I think with the black and white, you'll be able to really appreciate, what this groom is wearing, how he's looking, and all that stuff, okay? So I'm gonna use the Cleveland, oh yes, look at that. I'm just gonna actually center him as well. Look at that. I don't really want to do blue boost. And I'm also gonna just do a green boost there. Nah. Beautiful. All right, Same photographers. This is Wayne and Ing. Oh, okay. I'm excited about this one too. This is going to be like all of the light and airy dreams, okay? Let's do it. Right off the bat, looking good. It's very orange right now, so let's bring that back. That's looking good. And I'm just gonna add a little bit of magenta. Looks like there's lots of green in this image. And then I'm just gonna boost it up even more. What do I wanna do? I wanna do a shadow boost as well. Actually, instead of a shadow boost, let's use that gradient masking tool again, because I like all of this light coming in from the right side, but this left side is kind of like weighing down the image. And I want it brighter overall. And if I even make this a smaller, if I make this a smaller photo, like 12%, you can really tell how dark the left side is. So I'm gonna hit M for masking, and it's gonna have this gradient, linear gradient tool. And I'm just gonna put it here, and then I'm gonna put up the exposure. Oh, yes. You know what? I'm gonna do another mask and do it along the top as well. Really nice. Beautiful. All right, same photographers outside, same couple outside. Let's do it. Okay, this is going to be fun. Let's actually get you a little closer so you can see. Whoa, not that close. Okay, here we are. This couple, they're outside, looking great. Let's add, ooh, look at that. Magical, magical. Let's do some intense green. You can see the difference here. It really makes it intense. And I'm just gonna brighten it up and then just lower the contrast a little bit. And I want these guys centered. Beautiful. Okay, same couple. Oh, we got like 4 photos from this couple. Okay, this is also gonna be great for the light and airy look. So I put on the preset. Let's do some shadow boost. Ooh, yeah, look what that does. Shadow boost. I'm not gonna do intense green, but I am gonna add the film grit to it. And let's boost all that up. Yeah, that's really nice. Now, it seems like because of the time of day and because of how the light is coming through those trees, I'm seeing a lot of this blue light show up on their veil. And I don't know if I love the mixture of those two things. So I actually want to see what this looks like in black and white. Ooh, and it's very nice. I'm just gonna bring the exposure a little bit. Yeah, that is beautiful. And I'm actually gonna do a green boost. So this makes the greens in a black and white more vivid. Yeah, I really like that a lot. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, and down to our last photographer. This is William. William, thanks for sending in your images. I thought this was fun because it has lots of movement, and I personally like to have movement shots mixed with black and white. So like, look at that right off the bat. Like, I don't even think I need to do anything. I might go a little brighter, but that's a great shot. Okay, here is a nice bridal portrait. And this is where I think my preset, the light and airy preset, can like really take your photo to the next level. You're looking at this image and you're like, oh, that's nice, but I just feel like it could be way more magical. And so adding the light and airy preset, oh, it's so beautiful. Like, it takes it from kind of like a dingy photo to being like, wow, this is like magical Europe feeling. I don't know if I'd even do much more to it. Beautiful. Thanks, William. All right, last photo. This is kind of a funny, kind of candid shot. But I thought it was a good example of something that can work really well. It can work really well in color. But I also love it, like photos that have a lot of attitude, I like to make them black and white. And then I feel like you kind of focus a little bit more on the expression of the couple as opposed to getting kind of distracted with all the colors around. All right. That was editing your photos. Oh, let's go through them. Let's go through them and show you all the before and afters. All right. So here is after, and there's before. Here's after, before. Wow, makes such a big difference. This is very like the light and airy look. I love it. Very light and airy bridal look. Okay, one thing I just realized is that in the photos that Johan sent us, there was actually some edits that he left in, and I wanted to commend him for it because if you notice, look, these chairs, they vanished, they disappeared. So it looks like he did some AI like removal, but left, somehow it got copied when he sent me the raw and I was able to see that. But that level of attention to detail is awesome. Those are the type of things that are going to take your images to the next level. I know there's this kind of feeling amongst photographers where it's like, you know, I'm not going to do extra Photoshop work unless I charge the couple. And I think, you know, it's important to protect your own time, that you're not doing all this extra Photoshop work that you know, wasn't supposed to be a part of the photo shoot. But I think it's awesome of this photographer here that he went in and was like, wow, this photo's great, but it would be greater if there weren't these chairs kind of in the side of the image. So I really love that he took those out in post. But here's the after, and that's the before. Great image of a bride, you know, in the car. That's before. Before. It's really cool to see this preset on other people's photos, right? Because I'm so used to how I shoot and how I do everything. And so I kind of expect and I know exactly what my photos are going to look like, but it's really fun to see what they're like on other people's photos. Yeah, like, wow, what a difference between like the original image and then this very like bridal, romantic, light and airy look. Yeah, I feel like that needs some more magenta. There we go. Before, oof, love that black and white. Very dreamy. so radically different than the, you know, the image from the camera. Love this movement shot. I think it looks so good in black and white. That's before. Beautiful. Could do for some more magenta, to be honest. Like in there. Now we're talking. Before. Oh, great photo. But, you know, without the preset, it just like feels so dingy. And then this last very candid shot of this couple. Awesome. Okay, well, it was so fun to edit your photos. Thanks for sending your images to me. I had a lot of fun editing them. If you're interested in purchasing these presets, you can find them in the description below, or you can head over to my website.